One.
Good morning, Yorktown. Today is November 12th, Thursday, November 12th. Thank you for joining us for a special COVID update. My name is Matt Slater, Town Supervisor, joined with our Town Board, joined by Councilman Tom Diana, joined by Councilwoman Alice Roker, Councilman Ed Lachterman, and on the phone we have Councilman Vishnu Patel. We're also joined by our Town Clerk, Diana Quast. Nearly 8 months ago today, the town of Yorktown declared a state of emergency in advance of the COVID-19 wave that struck our entire state, region, town, and as we're seeing, the entire country. Today, really yesterday, the governor handed down some new regulations that go into effect this Friday, November 12th. And we've been tracking the numbers for really since March 13th. And once again, we're seeing, as we've said many, many times, that the numbers are going in the wrong direction. The numbers are trending upwards in all the wrong categories across the region, including the town of Yorktown. And so the town board feels it's important at this point in time to reinstate the state of emergency. This is an important step for our municipality and really is a preventative measure. Right now, the state of New York is instituting a cluster action initiative. And so instead of a broad-based, as we saw in the spring, restrictions based on region, the state is going in by zip code and census tracking data to very specific neighborhoods. Now, I want to be very clear, the town of Yorktown has not been put into a cluster zone at this point in time. There is a cluster zone in the Sound Shore that is down in Port Chester. Yesterday, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, elevated that cluster zone from yellow to orange. I'm going to share my screen so you can understand what exactly that means. Let's see here. Okay, you should be able to all see that. And this is from the state of New York. This is their new cluster zone initiative. You can see there are 3 zones: yellow, orange, and red. And you can see associated with these zones are restrictions. It's the intent of this town board to avoid these restrictions to the best of our ability, which is why we are again instituting this proactive state of emergency, really to communicate to our residents the importance of mask wearing, social distancing, of washing your hands, and of staying home if you're not feeling well. Again, the numbers continue to climb. We've seen the infection rate in Westchester County continue to climb. These zones are instituted by infection rate. Now, I cannot tell you specifically what the infection rate for the town of Yorktown or any of our zip codes are. That data has not been provided by the state at this point in time. On Monday, we had a municipal conference call with the county executive's office, and we've requested that. And I believe that they're working diligently to provide that information so that we can better prepare. The state of emergency on the local level has no immediate impact on residents. There are no restrictions that are included in this. It simply gives us the ability as the local government to make immediate decisions if that comes to pass. I've spoken with both Dr. Ron Hatter of the Yorktown Central School District, and I've spoken with Dr. Brendan Lyons of the Lakeland Central School District. Those school districts are going to continue to operate as they currently are. I believe that for our kids, the safest place for our kids to be, frankly, is in our schools. And they've done just a tremendous job in regards to compliance. There's 100% mask compliance when they're in the schools. They're socially distanced, and they're being properly supervised. What we've seen, quite frankly, and what we've heard, and this is the governor's new mandates that go into effect on Friday, according to the contact tracing teams that are in place, and this is really statewide, the areas that have been the main drivers behind the spread seem to be establishments that sell alcohol, meaning restaurants and bars, gyms, and private house parties. And so some of the things that the governor has announced that go into effect on Friday anyone that has a state liquor license, bars and restaurants that sell alcohol must close by 10 p.m. It's statewide. Statewide. Any gyms, fitness gyms, must close by 10 p.m. statewide. And finally, the governor has announced that private house parties have to be limited to no more than 10 people. And that's a very big step. And again, that's a state that goes statewide, whether you're in a cluster zone or not. So we're trying to limit those private parties, which continue to be a source of spread. So watching the trend lines, as the county executive likes to call it, trend lines, as we've continued to observe, really since September. And now with the governor handing down these new orders, it's very clear that the second wave is nearly upon us. It is, again, the town's, and I believe the town board's intention to prevent as best we can any type of restriction to be handed down by New York State. And so this state of emergency is going to, hopefully be an indicator to the residents of Yorktown that we really need to lock down on our focus and our compliance. And B, from an operational standpoint, it gives the town of Yorktown the ability to respond at a moment's notice should we need to. And again, we did this nearly 8 months ago on November 13th. We provided a number of executive orders, some of which actually became a national model. And so we are just preparing ourselves in case we need to re-implement those in the same fashion. And so the town board wanted to come together to show a united front. We've, and I don't know if any of the board members want to say anything at this point in time.
Can I just say one question, Sue, see if it's not clear. Are Jefferson Mall, like those kind of places, will be in any restriction during the daytime or the evening or something?
There's no restrictions in place other at this point in time for our businesses. The only restrictions that are going to be implemented, the new restrictions, are for anyone with a liquor license. So any restaurants and bars will have to close at 10 p.m. starting tomorrow, November 12th. Any of our gyms will have to close by 10 p.m. starting tomorrow, November 12th. And no private parties will be allowed by the state of New York at your private residences starting tomorrow, Friday, November 12th.
I do have something to say, Matthew. We spoke about this last Tuesday night, 2 nights ago, about trying to limit the contact so that hopefully we will not go into a full lockdown. And the most important thing, I think, is the wearing of the face covering your nose and your mouth. I don't think it's too much to ask. We may be weary. I know I'm weary of COVID, but it's still upon us. In fact, the other night, I was listening to this doctor say we're going to go into COVID hell during the winter. So I think any little thing we can do to avoid this is really necessary. You know, the idea of us having to close businesses down again, I'm sure would sound the death knell for some of them and for the people who work for them. So we're just pleading with you, do the right thing.
And you can see I'm wearing a face covering today. On Tuesday, the town board passed a resolution requiring face coverings at all town facilities and recreational facilities. So I am wearing a face mask in compliance with that resolution. But these are the small steps that we've taken. But again, the state of emergency really should indicate to the residents of Yorktown the seriousness of the situation, that it's a proactive approach to prevent additional restrictions on our businesses, on our schools, on our houses of worship. And so we are trying to be as aggressive as we can. We led from the front in the past. We're going to lead from the front again. And this state of emergency is exactly what that does.
If I can, Supervisor, parents out there, if you're listening, make sure your kids wear the masks. This is where, from what, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, that the highest concentration of COVID is starting is with the children. Because let's face it, the kids become lax. So please make sure they have masks and that they wear them, sanitize their hands. I'm only echoing what everybody else is saying, but parents, this has really got to be on you. Please take heed of this.
I watched this mother talk about her 13-year-old who had no underlying causes. He died.
Yeah.
A week ago.
Yeah. So again, this should be a good reminder and a good indication to the town of Yorktown, to our residents, that we are taking this very, very seriously. Again, I expect to have County Executive Latimer join me tomorrow for an update, another COVID update. We're going to continue to provide information as we've done in the past to the residents so that they can make the best decisions for them, for their families, and for our community. But we're definitely have another round of adversity coming our way, and Yorktown always meets adversity head on. And so I expect that we're going to respond accordingly. And this state of emergency declaration, again, does not have an immediate impact on the daily life of our residents. There's no curfews, there's no restrictions, but it should be a very, very strong reminder that restrictions are a possibility handed down by the state of New York, and that's what we're trying to avoid. The way you avoid it is by reducing the infection rate. The way you reduce the infection rate is by wearing a mask, washing your hands, social distance, and if you do not feel well, stay home. Just stay home. And also, again, if you're awaiting a COVID test result, stay home. Do not go out unless you know for a fact that you are negative. It's those really common sense steps that are going to help, again, flatten a second wave and a second curve. So the town board wanted to come as a united front before the residents of Yorktown to once again remind folks about the coronavirus, the significance of it, but also show that we are united in our actions, and that we are taking this very, very, very seriously.
Matt, the one restriction that does affect everyone in New York State is the no more than 10 people in your house.
Right. That one does, and that was handed down by the state of New York, not the town of Yorktown. So the state of New York is now prohibiting gatherings of more than 10 at private residences, which again is one of the areas that we've seen, according to the contact tracing teams across the state, one of the areas where the spread has been rooted. Councilman Lachman, you want to say something?
Yeah, actually, well, the thing, and not that I like to speak in cliches, but especially with this, though, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, especially when that cure is shutting down. So, to be ahead of the curve, to let's, get the mask going really, really is a lot. I'm a business owner and my business depends on staying open. It's not a business that's an essential per se. So, we could get hurt really hard. And, I know from my point of view, I really want to prevent that. And then, there is a silver lining under every cloud. So the parties of 10 or more, if I can't now invite my brother because he has a big family for the holidays, that might not be the worst thing in the world from my point of view. So there could be a silver lining in some of that.
I already invited him for you, Ed. Not a problem.
Oh, your house, great.
No.
Very good. So I think
I have one question for the entire board and the community at large. If you have to visit your elder family member in their house or nursing home or any place, they have a separate restriction at the nursing home, so contact them. If you should go, speak to those residents places, and before you go, make sure that it is necessity to go. Otherwise, you infect two people, yourself and somebody else. So there may be a separate restriction from each individual nursing homes, and also hospitals have their regulations. And one just small comment. we always talk about the washing hand and sanitizing. What that does is the virus is a water soluble protein, sugar coated. It's just like you remove the battery from your car and car will not start. Okay. So this simplest example, why should be washing your hand?
Perfect. Thank you for the reminder, Councilman Patel. It's great information. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion that we pass a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a declaration declaring a state of emergency today, November 12th, 2020.
Motion.
A second. All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Yorktown. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Stay vigilant, and we will continue to provide information, verified information, as soon as we can. Thank you so much.